There is a calling among the woods, whispered amongst the whispers of the midnight breeze. A calling, hushed and wary, that beckons to a cabin settled within the snowy mountains, at a lowly place surrounded by a mob of white firs and pines. A dreary shack, with walls of rot and full of holes. A truck sits idle outside, its engine cold and its cab empty. Headlights flicker, their strength wavering in long, struggling breaths that dance across the west side of the cabin. A snow shovel rests on the porch. A cool crimson creeps down its handle, dripping into the snow. Although the blinds are closed tightly, and both the front and back doors are locked shut, they can't conceal the sounds, the horrors committed within that house. The sharp scraping of a table's feet against a naked wooden floor. A deep, throaty moan, indistinguishable of pleasure or pain. And a wet sound almost reminiscent of pigs feeding from within a trough. All of this over the light cackling sounds of a gentle, healthy fire. These sounds continue for some time. They are ravenous, feasting sounds. As the wind blows through the trees, blowing snowflakes into flight, gifting the dark with their chilling splendor, the noises start to falter. They fade, and the snow drifts towards the ground, falling between the dark. It is then, in that silence, that the whispering quickens, hastening to utter a lonely name. They beckon. They call. Dakota Black. The front door flies open, and the man, Dakota Black, stumbled onto the porch, melting the snow beneath his fingertips with the warmth of blood. His and someone else's. It covers his arms and hands, his chest, and his face. It encompasses his mouth, smeared like jam. His sin sticks between his teeth, and he leaves the porch like a drunkard, barely managing to grab onto the snow shovel before he does so. He trips over his own shame and fear, landing face first in the fresh snow. He lets the shovel lie. It bites into him like 100 greedy mouths, but he doesn't care. He shudders, but not from the cold. He is afraid, because he is watched. He is afraid, because they are here too soon. The whistling he hears is not the wind, but the breathing and wheezing of ancient, frigid nostrils. He needs not see them to know. This isn't how he envisioned their meeting. He isn't happy. Still, he prostrates himself, face down, in the snow. He spreads out his arms and legs. He is vulnerable, but he is left unharmed. He rises, as they allow, but only to his knees. In frightful reverence, he keeps himself humble before them, before the council of the Black Woods. He knows their true names, but he doesn't dare think it. He buries the thought in his mind, buries it deep, beyond the hope of light. There is only one which he sees initially, but he knows there is not only one. It exists like a nightmare, unfitting for the physical world. It's faceless, skinless. Its skull, like the head of a deer, sits atop broad shoulders. It doesn't shine in the moonlight. It's gray like winter, hollow. The rest of its form hidden behind a nightmare cloak, crafted of skin. Human skin. Human faces torn and stitched together, like the patches of a quilt. From within the heavy cloak, a skeletal hand emerges, gesturing forth, and the terrible whispering said to him, "Never." Was he to respond? He has not a clue as to whether the creature before him mocked or whether it was a simple inquiry. His rage has decided for him. Adrenaline seizes his hands, and he pulls clumps of grass from beneath the pool of snow. As he screams, he howls into the night, releasing his pain, his guilt, his fear into the frozen sky. He frees his hands and brings them to his face, feeling it as though he were blind. He rounds his cheeks and pinches his ears. He claws at his nose, and his fingertips glide across his chapped lips. He is unchanged. He is Dakota. That isn't good enough. Why? He asks. Born of the ink in the woods, the council bleed into the night. Dakota beholds them with a horrid, wanting lust. Such a horrid majesty, he thinks, his eyes feasting upon them. What splendid variety. A beast scampers across the ground. It's naked, like a man, but it is so clearly not. Spikes blister the skin, particularly down its spinal column. Its fangled jaw hangs agape, and not by choice. It is seemingly broken, rendered useless. The torn flesh by the corners of its mouth seem to confirm that theory. Like an ape, it clings low to the earth, only stopping every so often to readjust its damaged jaw. It looks young. Another creeps out on stilt-like legs, walking forward on all fours. Pairs of antlers sprout all the way from the base of its human skull, across its sloping shoulders, and across its mud-caked backside. Its true face hides behind an emotionless white mask. Dense branches snap like frail kindling as one behemoth emerges from the woods, snow nearly invisible as it falls across its matted, white fur. As tall as the shack, and with a girth as wide as his truck, it stood indomitable above all the rest, red eyes blazing. One hangs from within the trees, clinging to the bark with all four arms. Its eyes glitter yellow like fetid stars. Another looks like a wild beast, or perhaps a buffalo, that learned to stand on its two legs. It clambers through the snow on bulky legs, with arms so long they graze the snow. Its eyes, like those of a shark, solid, ebony, and unfeeling. Why so many? He asks. They all wanted to see. Another creeps low, body of tattered, rotting fur. Another stalks the perimeter. Only its hoof legs are visible, its torso covered by the black. And then, there is the one that steps out of the cabin, from behind Dakota. He wants to rise, but he knows he can't. He restrains himself, even as the thing towers over him. Its face used to be human. They all used to be human. It drops something beside him before returning to the council. Something heavy. Blood splatters. Red constellations across an ivory sky. It is the other man. A large, portly man. Glazed brown eyes. His gut torn asunder, as if ravaged by wild dogs. The young one, with the broken jaw, starts whimpering. It's anxious, gaunt and hungry. It savors red. Dakota no longer pays attention, not to the council. He drools as well. The body, his sin, has been returned to him, perhaps as another chance. With the council watching, he feeds once more. He shreds, tears, pries without remorse, without care. He does so until his body betrays him, and the pain in his lungs is too great. He feels like he's drowning in dry air. He coughs in a fit, spraying blood. He falls over, hoping this is it. He hopes the pain he feels inside is no longer the cancer. He wonders if, now, he will start to change. But normality is restored. He can breathe again, through an aching throat. He hates it. His body feels like dying, but he will not allow it. Through great, heaving breaths, he rises from the ground, daring to stand before them. It's an insolence that riles the council, all of them showing physical signs and sounds of disgust, except for the one in the cloak of faces. "What do you want from me?" he shouts at them, arms outstretched. It has become too much for the young one, impatient and inexperienced, to bear. He lunges forward, ready to devour, but Dakota doesn't hesitate. The shovel is lifted from the snow, and the broad metal head meets the creature in its gut. Dakota angles the hit downwards, delivering the beast to the frozen earth. Then it flails for only a minute, before Dakota brings the shovel down again and again. The beast cries for help, but none of the others assist it. They are intrigued. They watch. Time and time again, with furious screams, Dakota brings the metal shovel to the creature's pale flesh. Spikes snap like bone, but Dakota decides it's not enough. The shovel isn't heavy enough to do real damage. So he starts stabbing, slicing with the shovel's thin, sharp edge. It isn't hard to cut into the creature's paper-like flesh. It wails, and the shovel breaks. Dakota doesn't stop. He beats the creature with what's left, clubbing him with a shattered staff. His screaming doesn't die, even as he starts stabbing the quickly fading beast with the splintering edges of the handle. He stabs and stabs, long after the creature had stopped moving. Panting, he looks to the others, uncaring for their silence. "What more do you want?" he asks, his legs feeling weak. "What more could you possibly need?" "You really want this?" He feels the terminal pain rising in his chest. The air, a poison. "My dad told me the tales," he mutters. "He told me what it would cost. Immortality." "What cost?" Dakota looks at the mangled corpse he has fed. A great, great cost for desperate men. The creature in the cloak of faces steps forward, moving lightly across the snow. The others around the perimeter seem to do the opposite. They retreat backwards, just a hair, just a step. The one with the cloak stands not a meter from Dakota's face, and although it has no eyes, Dakota knows it can't look away. It is confused, it is scared, and Dakota doesn't know why. "Flesh," he hears it whisper, from somewhere within the cloak, "is the cost of desperate men, a ticket for a spirit to enter, to turn and mold a degraded body and a weakened soul that has partaken in the unforgivable, to sever an irreparable connection between vessel and spirit. Only when weakened can a soul, can a body, be properly molded." Dakota takes a step closer, daring to stand face to face. "Are you saying I'm not worthy?" The creature tilts its head. "You are." Dakota swallows his fear. "Then why?" "Because you are strong." Dakota can't stop shaking. His fists clench. "I need to be one of you," he demands. Make me one of you. One of us, it asks. Say it. The creature rounds him, moving around him clockwise. It whispers, "What do you want us to make you?" He gasps as he says it, as the creature places its skeletal palms upon his shoulders. Wendigo. The night pauses. The wind dies. The moon dims in the sky. The council is faded, all except for the one that whispers in his ear. No. The cloak opens wide, and before he can say a word, Dakota is pulled inside, into the black.